Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul Farrington joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University.
No, not anymore, Paul.
Oh, you're not? Where are you right now?
I'm in sunny, beautiful Southern California.
You're in California right now. That's right. The return stream, Ziggy. We've been gone for what? 2.5, almost three weeks, right?
Pretty much.
June 2nd was our last recording. So a lot of stuff has happened for the Paul Farrington Show since the last recording. I moved from New Jersey to Chicago. Again, probably won't be a move that lasts forever, but just to try something new out here in Chicago. It's funny. We go from a podcast with primarily Packers fans who are listening. Our second biggest audience, probably Lions fans. And I'm a Viking fan to begin with, right? Me and Ziggy are Vikings fans. We already have rivals listening, and now we've just placed ourselves in the heart of Bears country out here. So we've now become a Vikings fan, a Viking show with Packers listeners in Chicago. You can't really make this stuff up, but that's very typical, I'd say, for the Paul Farrington Show.
Well, there's also a lot of Packers fans in Chicago, so you may find some conflict brewing in the streets as Paul's there. I need you to bring that Minnesota Vikings energy in.
Yeah, behind enemy lines has never taken on a truer meaning than right now when we talk to Andy Herman, probably later into this offseason here. But it's great to be back. Ziggy, you were just in Italy, correct?
I've been all over. I was in Italy. I was in Boston. I took a train from Chicago to Sacramento. I've been all over.
I love how we go from you being in Italy for having a train to Sacramento is somehow of similar stature when we're going over where we've been. But it's been a long time, and I know a lot of people were asking where we've been, and a lot of the setup guys just takes a long time here. We got new camera, as you can see, the new camera maybe a little too high def for everyone. As you're looking into my eyes now. I'm going to have to get used to looking into a camera, and we'll see if this is the kind of relationship we're going to want on this podcast, or if I should really dart my eyes off to the side. But there are just so many different things that go into setting up these shows. We invested in a bunch of new equipment. Jack right now is in the process of clearing out space in his house so that he can have a new setup. We'll see how that looks. I ordered shelves, Ziggy, to try and work on the background here. As you can see right now, just if you're listening on audio, just a clear white background for me. This is just the wall in my apartment. I actually ordered shelves weeks ago. It's supposed to come in on June 20th. Perfect timing for our return show. And I go and I check online the other day and it says estimated arrival July 21st. I was like, what the hell? Like, July 21st? How long does it take to get a little bookshelf out here to put some of the helmets and our old stuff on? But I guess that's just how it works. So we apologize again for such a long delay. But there are just so many moving pieces. I have lights that I'm trying to set up so it could be a little brighter. Obviously, Ziggy looks great, and you never need to touch up on his appearance at all. But for me, Jack, and Zach, there are clearly things that need to be worked out. So we'll continue to fix those, and hopefully over the next month or so, we can really get this back up to the production level that it was at, earlier in the month, and as it's been for years.
Will there be a return of Pineapple Pete? This is what the fans want to know.
I did send a sad picture of Pineapple Pete when I left. I don't know if you saw that on our Instagram account. When leaving my house, I'm leaving my house that I grew up in. I've been there for 4 years, right? Since graduating college, and we had the 5th year at Notre Dame. But I just took a picture of the bar top with Pineapple Pete and posted that. And my brother sends me a text and goes, "Is this supposed to be a send off to the old studio?" I went, "Yes, that's exactly what it is." I don't have Pineapple Pete with me right now, but I'll have to bring him back out. He's too important to the show. But it's good. Again, it's good to be back. It feels like, Ziggy, when you're not recording, do you feel a little void in your life like I do? Or can you just move on easy peasy?
Well, I got a lot of practice last year when I did my holdout. So the only void I was feeling was the paycheck void. I was looking forward to those Farrington bucks coming in.
This is probably the longest break we took since stopping the show momentarily, right after we graduated, and it was in radio form. And then we were figuring out if we even wanted to do it. I don't think we had any plans to until I texted you one day in September of 2021 and said, "Hey, you want to bring it back?" So this is probably the longest break we've had, 3 weeks. It's been a while here.
Yeah, I don't think we've done more than 2 since we moved on to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we'll see how many of our loyal fans have deserted us. It's 2.5 weeks of the off season. There's so much other content out there to get. There's a lot of exciting news we missed, so I totally get it.
Yeah, well, you know what? You build it back up. If there's any month to take off some time in the NFL season, it's definitely in June. And we had an exciting NBA Finals, right? The Knicks won for the first time since 2009. when the 2009 when the Yankees won the World Series. I'm looking at a couple of my teams. Really, Arsenal is the team that I started cheering for.
A couple
More
weeks before
seriously,
they made the Premier League.
no. Arsenal is a team that I started cheering for over the past, I'd say, 4 or 5 years more seriously. And the Knicks as
That's
well.
when we were watching them. You couldn't name a single player, and your dad was naming stars. You're like, "Who's that guy?" Right?
That is not true at all. That's not.
That's
true at all.
absolutely.
There were a couple of
We've
people that I was
witnessed
unfamiliar with. I'm not a diehard Arsenal fan, but it was really funny. So Arsenal won the Premier League. The Knicks won the finals. I'm like, wait, I don't know how to react to winning things. But I was at a wedding of our good buddy Ziggy. Our friend Sam got married out in Oregon. And it was Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So Game 4 was unbelievable. I watched that at our good friend Tommy Cassius, right, Colts fan. I watched that at his house. In Game 5, there's a wedding in Oregon that I have to be at. Sorry, have to be at sounds bad. That I was at, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Like, of course, Game 5 is on. I was expecting the Knicks to lose, so I'm kind of tracking the game, but no one wants to be that guy at the wedding, right? And I've been that guy in a lot of scenarios before, where you have the game running on your phone and people are looking at you saying, all right, man, there are more important things in sports. I'm like, yeah, but this is a really big game. So about the ceremony's over. Obviously, I was not going to do anything during the ceremony. Ceremony's over. We're at the reception, kind of a dull point in the reception. And I just checked this. I checked the score and Knicks are down like 15, right? Remember, they're down 16, I think, at most. I'm like, okay, I'll be able to come home, watch game 6 on Tuesday, see them win it at Madison Square Garden. That'll be cool. Like 20 minutes later, I check again and the comeback is on. And I'm like periodically kind of checking in shorter time frames. And with about 8 minutes left as the Knicks are cutting into this lead, I excuse myself from the table outside to go join a little cohort of our friends who are inside having a conversation. And I pretended to join that as I kind of track the game now on my phone. And finally, with 2 minutes left, as the Knicks were right in the thick of it, I just excused myself to the bathroom and locked myself in there and watched the end of the game before coming out, obviously victorious, and celebrating on the dance floor. But, I was just laughing at the thought of, like, I did turn into that guy. But I was able to hold off for the most part. So I think you would have been proud of me.
When I was admitted to Notre Dame, they have like an admitted students weekend, right? And it was the weekend of the Masters, right? They were playing the Masters that weekend, whatever golf tournament.
Do you really? You don't care about the Masters, do you?
Of course I do, but my dad really cares. So, they have us in this huge auditorium, right? And like, there's this guy giving this speech about whatever. And my dad takes out his phone and starts watching the Masters. And like, we're surrounded by a lot of admitted students. The admitted students are kind of whatever. But just the swarm of dads in the middle of this huge auditorium just starts grouping around my dad watching the Masters. Because like, the 2017 awesome. Masters, that was like the Sergio Garcia playoff run.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, that's
so like, that was an exciting tournament, and whenever people talk about sports, I think of that. That a lot less important than a wedding, but at least I was hearing some reports that you were spending a lot of time in the bathroom on your phone at the wedding.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm glad it was.
It wasn't that long.
Something else.
It wasn't that long. I actually did something like that one time in 8th grade. We were at like some competition, some business competition thing. I can't remember what exactly it was. And it was March Madness, which, on this show, we love March Madness. We do the one show a year. That always is our worst performing video, but we just love doing it. And I'm sitting there. They're doing awards. And there's no shot in hell that I was going to get an award for whatever we're doing. And we're allowed to bring our iPads in. So I had the March Madness app downloaded. And similar to your father, there's just this group of guys that kind of starts wandering over. And finally, there's like 15 dudes watching the end of Princeton versus whoever, some crazy 5-12 upset game. And we're genuinely cheering, which is just horrible during the ceremony. And finally, someone comes over and they're like, one of the teachers like, oh, inexcusable. And took my iPad. And I was like, I gotta get this thing back. This is when the iPad kind of is kind of new. So yeah, I mean, everyone listening, I'm sure that a lot of people listening have had moments like that where you gotta watch the end of it. But even at the wedding, was able to hold off a little bit. Ziggy, I don't think I'm being welcomed particularly well out here in Chicago right off the start. And I actually have to be quiet how loud I say this because I'm still figuring out. Like, my apartment, guys, is nothing. I have a TV in the stand right now, but the couch has been a 2 to 3 week delivery time frame. And I called the other day. They're like, yeah, one of the parts is missing, so it might be a little delayed here. I'm sitting
One of
on
the
like
parts is missing.
well, I got a sectional couch. And one of the parts.
Why wouldn't you just rent a
apparently,
car and go to the like Schaumburg IKEA?
well, I wanted to. It's not a big space here. I mean, well, eventually we'll do a little tour of this apartment, but it's not a very big space. So I wanted to try and get a couch that just fit perfectly with the area I needed. And I finally found one after looking for an hour and a half in different furniture stores. Is the last couch I saw. I was like, this is perfect. How long until I could get here? 3 weeks. So I've just been sitting in a little lawn chair watching like Shrinking. I started watching Shrinking. I'm watching Shrinking in the middle of the night. Although Ziggy, you'll be proud. My sleep schedule's gone a lot better because I'm out here and there's nothing to do at 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, I guess I'll just go in my room. Like, I didn't have Wi-Fi. I didn't have Wi-Fi or TV the first 4 days I was out here. So I've improved my sleep schedule, which I think you'll be proud of. But no, so I'm out here and, there are a lot of Bears fans. Oh, this is just going to turn into a ridiculous episode, isn't it? I guess this is just the return. So this show really is about, friendship and being, talking with your close buddies. So we may as well just get into it here. I don't like admitting this. I brought some of the Packers gear with me out here to Chicago. I have the cheesehead. I have the Jordan Love jersey. I'm not happy about it, but I figured, with the way this show works, every now and like we make bets, right? We make bets based on the Vikings-Packers game. We'll Paul wear the cheesehead. We'll wear the Jordan Love. When I was unloading the car, I made sure to have a blanket over all this because I thought, okay, if we get into the Bears audience more as the year goes on, I do not want people from this building to be like, wait a second, I recognize that guy. He brought a cheesehead into the building. So I legitimately, I covered it up, Ziggy, and was like making sure no one was looking. Not that anyone gives two shits. But that's hiding in the closet right now is the Packers stuff.
Wait, hold on. I want to make sure I heard what you said correctly. Your Packers stuff is hiding in the closet. Is that
I heard it when I
said
it.
Sure.
Yes, that is what I said. The Packers gear is in the closet.
That's not a surprise, is it?
Well, I mean, I guess for people who've watched this show for years, that they would say that's a fitting place. But yes, I'm looking at it right now. The Packers gear is in the closet. It hopefully will never be touched from now until when I move back to New Jersey. Hopefully, it is never ever taken out. But it's there.
I mean, if we finally decide to give Kyler all the first team reps, you won't have to.
Yeah,
it's going to be a 17-0 season.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we get into a couple? Here's what we're going to do for today's show. We're going to hit on a couple NFC North stories that we just want to get to, and then we put out some mailbag questions or a mailbag post for everyone to leave comments, and we have a few of those that we want to hit as well. One of the benefits now, Ziggy, is that I can actually look and navigate a little easier. I don't know how it's going to look on screen, but I can actually read comments much easier.
You have to be an expert of it, like me. It takes some work.
We're still maneuvering. We're still maneuvering the camera and everything. So I'll figure it out over time. The best way we can do this without looking like, I'm completely diverting my attention. There's one more thing I wanted to tell you about, just like the being welcomed into Chicago. A few weeks ago, I guess 2 weeks ago, that's how long I've been here. I'm bringing some stuff up and I'm going to the elevator. And there's probably a dude who's like 23 or 24, like waiting for the elevator too. And I just look over and I'm like, hey man, what's up? And he just blankly looks at me. Like not even a care in the world. But we're just staring at each other. I'm like, what's up? Doesn't say a word. And I just sort of like moved my head while keeping my eyes on him, then moved my eyes back to the elevator and started laughing out loud. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be welcomed out here at all. So it's been a rocky start, but at least I have you guys.
Well, that's not a huge surprise, right? Like New York people are known for being outgoing and friendly, and people in Chicago are known for just slamming the door in your face and telling you
at least acknowledge you in New York. And in New York, at least they'll be like, if you're like, how's it going? They'll be like, it's fine. And they go on. I guess the Chicago people, I don't know. It's a little weird. Okay, let's get to a couple of the stories here. The first one, some big news, and with all the moving, I feel like we need to catch up as well on exactly what was going on here. But a recent article came out. This was from a couple days ago. Jordan Ziegler put out on Yahoo Sports. Micah Parsons to miss upwards of half of the season. So Jason La Canfora reported that initially, you're right. Right now, we know that Parsons is going to start the season in all likelihood on the PUP list, and that would allow him to return week 5. On the Packers' schedule, there's the Vikings, Jets, Falcons, Bucks. That would be week 5 returning October 11th against the Chicago Bears. A great game to return for. But La Canfora is tweeting right now, Micah Parsons is going to miss upward of half the season returning from injury. Which is a big blow, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the best players in the NFL, regardless of position, regardless of side of the ball. And Green Bay was 0-5 without him last season. So just to get at this, first question back, how much in your eyes does this hurt the Packers' chances of winning the NFC North if you're going to miss Micah Parsons for maybe the first 7 or 8 games of the season, potentially 3 NFC North games in there as well?
It's not an easy opening for the Packers, right? Like you talked about the Vikings game, the Bears game. There's also a Cowboys game, a Buccaneers game, and every week counts, right? Especially with that quick turnaround from the Lions game on October 25th to the Panthers Thursday night game.
Yep.
So like every single day that Micah Parsons is out hurts this team. And while I don't expect them to go winless without him, obviously there were a lot of other reasons that happened last year. This defense is built around Micah Parsons. It's why you traded Rashawn Gary, or it's why you traded those draft picks for him, right?
Kenny Clark, yeah.
Yeah, Kenny Clark, excuse me. Rashawn Gary trade was later. But the Packers blew up their whole defensive line last year saying, we've got Micah Parsons. That's going to work. So it's not like they've made a lot of additions that you can expect to step up, right? I know Packers fans are getting very excited about Javon Hargrave. You and I both know what's going to happen. Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, like okay players. Devontae Wyatt, pretty good. Like he's not carrying that defensive line on his own. The NFC North should be really competitive again this year, just like last year. I think the Lions are better. I think the Bears are going to be better. I think the Vikings are going to be better. They need Micah Parsons to get back. And I think it's going to be really difficult to compete with some of those offenses they have to face at the start of the season without him.
It's funny. You could probably go back and look on the recording as you started talking, Ziggy. It's just so great to be back. It's so great to be back doing this stuff. I really missed it. You could probably see right in the middle of your monologue there. At some point, my eyes kind of light up and I just started smiling. I was like, God, this is so good. Like, it is so good to be back doing this right now. Just so much fun. Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. We talked about at length, right, how competitive the NFC North is going to be this year. I have all 4 teams having 10 or more wins. And if you have Micah Parsons out an extra 2 or 3 weeks from what we expected, that could be the division right there. So obviously, yes, the answer to the question is yes, it does impact the Packers' chances of winning the NFC North. Absolutely. One thing I want to look at is, right, the teams we set off the bat, the first 4 weeks. The Vikings, you get Kyler in his first game in Minnesota, or if there's a miracle, JJ McCarthy.
Or a whore.
Or a whore, yeah. If something terrible happens to Kyler. The second week, you get Geno Smith and the Jets.
Probably Geno Smith.
Third week, you're getting whoever's starting in Atlanta. And then the fourth week, you're getting Baker Mayfield, who can either be a top 10 quarterback in the league or a little sporadic. You can survive that. You really can survive that. Green Bay, that stretch right there could very easily be 3-1, 4-1, or 4-0. I think the absolute floor is 2-2. But there's a world where you leave that, and I'd say the likely world is they leave that 3-1. The games you get coming back after those 4: Chicago, Dallas, Detroit. You get Caleb, who we're all expecting to take a big leap. You get Dak, who was amazing last season, and Jared Goff, criminally underrated, arguably in that top 10, the end of the top 10 quarterbacks of the league. I mean, those are 3 games you want Micah Parsons back for. You can survive those first 4. And if you flipped those 3 games up and you move Geno Smith and Kyler back into the all right, maybe Micah comes back here, I think you're a little more willing to let him rest. But depending on how they start, I do think that if they're 2-2, right, you might feel some more of a push from Packers Nation to, hey, let's get this guy back. And it would be a mistake to do that, right? Micah Parsons is there for the long haul. You want this guy back at 100%. It's just those 3 games, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit. I think at the very least you want him back for the Lions game. And that's what you said before we started. That week 7 game at Detroit is what I'd circle right now and say, let's see if that can be the game he returns for, if he truly is going to miss around half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Micah Parsons has been very upfront that he wants to take the 9 months. He wants to recover 100%. He recognizes that coming back early from an ACL injury can be really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as you say, like once he's ready to go, the Packers need him and need him to be able to play very well. Now, the good news, I guess, for the Packers is that it is going to be a new defense of Jonathan Gannon. So that adjustment period is already going to be there at the start. In some ways, that's good because you don't expect it to be as good. In some ways, that's bad because you want your star player, playing in your new defense rather than having to do the JJ McCarthy special of learning a new system from the bench. Obviously, Micah Parsons is a really important player for this defense. But I do think, we've been talking a lot about the NFC North and how competitive it will be.
Yeah.
This is a reason to think a team like Detroit or Chicago might have a little bit of an edge going into the season. Because whatever happens in the playoffs, like we know Micah Parsons will be back for that.
Not the Vikings.
Healthy.
Not the Vikings.
Paul, don't do this. I'm trying to save you some pain, man. Like we do this every year, and we're going to get to the Vikings in a minute. But every year, we talk ourselves up. They can win the division, and when they do, it sucks. And when they don't, it sucks. Just let it happen.
I'm looking here right now. The news that Micah would miss, upwards of half the season or around half the season. That Chicago game, October 11th in Green Bay, right? In Green Bay for the Chicago and Dallas games that it now looks like Micah will miss. That definitely helps out having those games at home. But with Caleb and his elusivity, the way that he brought his sack numbers down, Green Bay not able to really finish off quarterbacks other than Micah last season. It's just that's a game that you really want him for. And that'll be a killer if he truly is out for that one. Because we saw how slim of margins the Packers-Bears games were last season in deciding right, the 2 regular season games and the playoff game. They were, all 3 of those games were unbelievable.
No, and you saw Micah make a huge difference in week 14. I know it doesn't still up on the stat sheet, but actually watch that game. And you could tell going into the next 2 games, they were just missing that guy who could make Caleb Williams uncomfortable. Because if you give Caleb Williams time, he's shown it time and time again. He can take care of business.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's just something to monitor as we continue on over the offseason. It's like, how is Micah standing with his return? Because 9 weeks would be September 29th, I think, which would have him in line to play week 5. But if he misses up to half the season, there are some pivotal games that could catch up to them. On the Viking side of things here, Kyler and JJ, I'm trying to think, what did I had a name for it? It's like the Great Battle, or not the Great Battle. I need to remember what it was. I had something that I was.
Paul, this is why we have rundowns where you can read and think about the show.
No. But this was something that I had been thinking of back in Jersey, and I forgot to write it down. It's like
the thing you were thinking of back in Jersey is, we're going to call this quarterback battle between Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy the Great Battle. I can see why this show hasn't hit 30,000 subscribers yet. If this is the best we've got,
no, it was like the I don't even want to, since I'm gonna get made fun of for whatever name I come up with. We'll just,
if it's a good one, I won't.
But no, it wasn't like Battle of Destiny, or it's just like I can't remember it. So let's just get on with it. This quote was from about a week ago, when Kyler and JJ in press conference mode has been very entertaining, with JJ initially comparing them to classmates who sit on opposite sides of the classroom and don't really talk to each other. Kyler saying they were good buddies, essentially. About a week ago, Kyler came back and they asked him the toughest part, right, of joining on with the new team. And he goes, toughest part, I know I've had 2 different offensive systems. But at the same time, you're getting all those reps, now having to split reps, me already being behind, not getting the amount of reps that typically you'd want a guy learning an offense to get. That's been the toughest part. going back to the past, being in control of everything, understanding what we were already doing because I was comfortable in the system. Now I'm coming into a new system, learning on the fly, trying to play fast, and then let it loose while learning. So a little bit of a nudge there from Kyler to Kevin O'Connell, to the Vikings coaching staff of, hey, you want me to be ready to play and win games? Do you think, if you think I'm the guy that can push us to winning the NFC North, let me learn now. Don't make me have to continue to learn into the season and be put behind the 8 ball when week 1 starts. When we're playing Green Bay, we open with a division opponent. I need to be ready to go for that game. And what I bet there's a hint of is when they brought in Kyler Murray, we heard Phil Mackey say this a few weeks ago with us. You have to imagine the pitch to Kyler was not, hey, why don't you come in and you'll compete with JJ McCarthy? Winner gets the starting job. Because then Kyler probably takes a couple other visits and looks. You have to imagine behind closed doors, it was, you're in the driver's seat here. Don't mess it up. You'll be starting. And if you're Kyler Murray and you want to be in a position to win, where I know people question Kyler Murray's work ethic and drive, from everything that anyone who's ever played with him or been associated with him says, forget about that. The guy, you don't make it to the NFL. You don't get drafted in MLB without a crazy competitive edge. If the Vikings want to be in a position to win, Kyler Murray is saying, give me the best chance, which is giving me those starting reps. Do you like the approach of the Vikings of splitting these and kind of making it a real QB battle? Or do you agree with Kyler?
So I understand why the Vikings don't want to totally give up on JJ McCarthy, which is what giving Kyler all the first team reps would be doing. Basically, what that'd be saying is, JJ, you're done. You're out of town. And the one thing Alec Lewis reported this from The Athletic is that unlike with JJ McCarthy last year, the Vikings are giving Kyler the full playbook right away and basically saying, do your best, buddy. We know you can figure it out. Like, the approach here has been very different. And what that tells me is that internally, they think Kyler's going to be just fine. They think he'll be able to figure out the playbook. Probably by the time that real training camp rolls around, he will be getting more of those reps. So I'm totally happy with what they're doing. You have to keep JJ McCarthy's spirits up. You don't want to totally crush the guy, and you don't want to totally give up on him either. Kyler Murray is a veteran. He's had a bunch of head coaches. He's learned a lot of systems in the NFL. He'll be able to do this. But based on what the people who are in the building are reporting, he's not struggling very much. It's just fine. I think this is the usual quarterback says something to the media, because of course he wants to be crowned the winner right now.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about this at all, and I think Kyler's going to kill it when they hand him all the starting reps in August.
So nothing to worry about for you?
I don't think so. I mean, at a certain point, the longer this drags on, the more concerned I'm going to get. I don't want it to be end of July. There's joint practices, preseason starting, and they're still splitting reps.
You want a starter named before the preseason, basically.
I believe that Kyler Murray's a much better quarterback than JJ McCarthy, right?
Well, they know. You have to imagine they know.
And if they know that,
right now, yeah,
they shouldn't be dragging it on longer than mid-July. At a certain point, you have to pick a guy and say, we're getting behind you, or else you're in danger of losing the whole season to something that we all know isn't real.
Yeah, and it seems like the locker room, I imagine that locker room can handle this fine. There are a lot of good leaders there, and Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, right? Brian O'Neill, another guy. The Vikings have a veteran offense. This was a younger team, and there were more divas and eccentric personalities. I might be a little concerned, but this is a professional football team, and they're I'd say generally they are well led, and they're an organized football team. So I'm not worried about turning into anything more than just a couple press conferences that got a little more media attention than they probably should have, and some quotes that ran on shows in the middle of June when there's nothing going on. I'm not worried about it at all, but I get what Kyler's saying, and I don't blame him for saying I want more reps, but that's another thing where it's like, all right, maybe mask the truth a little bit just to avoid those conversations being the focal point of.
No, I like this being the conversation.
You like the honesty?
Kyler Murray's not coming out and saying JJ McCarthy's a bum, he sucks. They asked Kyler, what's the hardest part? And he said, yeah, I'd like to have some more reps to learn the offense. It's not, of course.
All right, you're right. No, you're right.
What I would hate, and a lot of guys do this, is they'll just come out and say, Nothing's really hard. Things are going great. I love the coaching I'm getting. The hardest part is all the awesome feedback I'm getting to make me better. He said something that's tough, right? And like Kyler has a point here. Obviously, in like June, they don't need to decide a starter, but he is right that at a certain point they need to say, here's who the guy's going to be. And everybody on JJ McCarthy knows. Every person in the building and out of the building knows how this is going to go. So it doesn't have to happen now.
I think JJ McCarthy thinks it's a QB battle.
Yeah, maybe he's delusional.
But here's just to play devil's advocate with you, when you go up to the microphone and you say something like that, you know what the reaction's going to be. You can also go up there and, hey, what's the toughest parts? Learning a new system that I haven't been a part of has been a little difficult for me. Trying to get my timing down with the guys, which is something we're going to continue to work on. And as the offseason goes, I'm sure it will be buttoned up. Like, you can also say that, and that's sort of the same answer without giving them the quote of, hey, I want the reps. And everyone knows I should be getting the reps.
Yeah, well, I want my guy to want reps, and I want my guy to say.
I'm just saying, like, there is another way to look at it. I don't have too much of a problem with it, but when you say certain things, you need to expect the outcome. And we'll just see. I guess any press conference from now on with McCarthy or
I like the idea of us sitting back here blaming Kyler Murray for the way we're talking about what Kyler Murray said. Kyler Murray has to expect that Paul Farrington's going to come on and say he's starting trouble.
Well, I'm not talking about. I don't care. Like, I don't care. But then again, my tolerance for this kind of stuff. We mentioned our buddy Tommy at the beginning of the show. Tommy one time had a remarkable quote. We were talking about a bunch of guys was talking about, like, hey, what do we want to do today? Tommy, do you care if we do X, Y, Z? And he just said, my apathy knows no bounds. I don't care what Kyler or JJ says. I like a little fire. But when you have people who want to stir up drama on all these networks, they're going to run with these quotes. And whether it should or it shouldn't, usually when ESPN or other networks are talking about, or other networks are
YouTube.com/The Paul Farrington Show
are talking about these things, it can infiltrate a locker room and become noise. I don't care. I don't care about it. But a lot of people will try and make drama out of nothing because they need to get views. We don't really feel that way because we went months and months and months, years without anyone listening to us and kept doing it. So,
and we just went 3 weeks with 0 views.
And with 0 views. So we're not trying to start any drama, as my neighbors are probably hearing. Again, with no furniture, it's echoing around the room. So the neighbors here in Chicago, one of the neighbors, I'll say this quietly, I doubt that.
If you're one of Paul's neighbors, throw that in the comments right now.
Yeah, maybe there's someone in the building. I'm not gonna get the address. Maybe there's someone in the building who knows. I did get a package. I've had a bunch of packages delivered via Amazon. I don't know why I plugged Amazon. And I go and pick them up. I come upstairs and I'm just opening them all. And finally I open one of them. It's like wood glue or something. There's a bunch of stuff on like that. That is not mine. So I look and I was given my next door neighbor's package. So I walked over. This is almost immediately after earlier in the day having that other interaction where the guy just stared at me. So I walk across the hall and just knock on the door with his package. And this guy opens up again. I really shouldn't say this, but this, just in case if anyone listens, opens up the door and just gives me the most like, who the fuck are you? Look, I've ever seen.
Oh, are you a bad neighbor? Is this what we're finding out?
Maybe just gives me this look of like disgust. I would say it was actually a look of disgust. And I'm not sure. I really don't know if you can hear this from the hallway. I'm not sure. And I just looked at the guy and I was like, I haven't even said anything. And like, this guy hates me. I don't even think he knows who I am. And I just said, hey man, I got your package. I accidentally opened it. I had no idea it was for you, but here it is. And I handed it to him. He's like, oh, thanks, man. And I was like, I just want to introduce myself as well. I just shut the door. Just shut the door. I was like, all right, you know what? I got to get back to Jersey, man. These Chicago people do not like me.
We live in a society. Well, Paul, it's not a New Jersey thing. It's a big city thing.
Maybe that's
like I'll tell you what, the people in New Jersey and New York are not known for being affable, friendly folks.
Well, I'm just not a city guy. That's really what it is. I'm hearing this. I'm trying something new.
Paul's like 4 days into his move to Chicago. I'm just not a city guy.
I'm really not. Do you know where I spent the first 4 days in Chicago? I was in Skokie, Illinois. I did all my shopping in the suburbs. I drove 30 minutes north. I am a suburb guy I love the suburbs. It's great. But I drove into Skokie, where our buddies here said they've never been there, or maybe one time in the 3 years they've lived here. And I spent legitimately the first 4 days shopping in Skokie for stuff, driving around like back roads. I took an hour drive just to like a suburb just to drive around. That's my outlet, Ziggy. When I get stressed out, I go on car rides. And up in northern New Jersey, it is just, it's the perfect area. People might not realize it, but it's a great area to just go for drives around really beautiful downs. Mbappe just scored in the France game.
Glad no, Paul. Why can't you remember the things that we planned out in the show? Why are you worried your eyes are going to be darting around as he's just watching soccer in the background?
I'm just pointing out that something happened. I actually set it up. I set up the new studio so that I could watch, if we do live streams, I can watch games while we're live.
Who's Mbappe anyway?
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to fall into your trap. But
he's Spanish, right?
Mbappe?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound French to me, but he is. Allegedly.
So I have to tell you this. My mother might not like me telling you this story, but I'm going to say it anyway. So, like, the World Cup is around, and I'm always sort of amazed at how little folks know about football. We were like driving
soccer.
I'm going to call when we're talking about the World Cup. I'm going to call it football. The president of the United States said I have to call it football, so I'm going to call it football.
Okay.
So, we're like talking a little bit, and she's saying, I sort of have a hard time getting into the World Cup. And I ask her, why is that? You see all these people playing for their teams and the rest. She says, well, the United States can never win. And I say, yeah, that's fair. I know the U.S. can never win. Our like backfield's never particularly good. And she says, well, it's none of that. It's that our professional league isn't any good. Like U.S. soccer is nowhere near as good as the leagues in England or Spain or France.
Or anywhere.
Like,
anywhere.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but why would that be? And she says, well, I guess the leagues in Brazil must be really, really good. Those must be the best in the world because the Brazil World Cup team is always pretty good and they seem to win all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask her, well, what does that have to do with the professional leagues? She says, well, you know how the World Cup works. She's like sort of trying to explain this to me. She says they take the best professional players in that country and have them play.
Oh, no.
It's like the All-Stars.
so she didn't realize it was
it's
based
nationals.
on yeah.
And then I explained to her, well, actually, no, it's the national. It's like the best players from that country.
Yes.
She says, no wonder everyone cares so much. I thought it was just like an all-star game. I didn't know why everyone cared.
Well, and you know what? We know
no wonder Cape Verde goes absolutely wild, right? When they draw Uruguay.
Yeah, the Cape Verde League. The Cape Verde League would be really having their hands full. The Cape Verde, I don't even know if there's a league in Cape. There can't be a league in Cape Verde.
I think Cape Verde might be the only country that would be more impressive as their professional league doing it than.
So Ziggy, this is like Kyler Murray at the podium. We both know that your mom's going to listen to this. Our parents are very, very loyal listeners to our show. My mom walks around the house just with the show playing to get more views. And I guess I'm falling into the trap here too. I'm like, Mom, you don't need to play that. She's like, well, every view helps. Like, okay, I'll let her do her thing. But your mom's going to hear that. I know your mom's going to hear that. And
not only that,
now we live with the outcome.
I'm between jobs right now. My next contract starts in August, so I'm with my parents for like a month and a half.
Yeah. So
this is dangerous stuff. I don't have a lease.
What these comments, the effect that they will have. And
your mom comes in, JJ McCarthy traded out of town. I could get Giannis right now and just have my mother kick me to the curb and say, thanks for the championship, buddy. See you next time.
I could see a world where Mrs. Ziegler walks into your room and she's like, hey, you tell the greater Green Bay area, I don't know soccer. Like, get the F out of my house.
There is a bedroom that just opened up for me in New Jersey, though, so I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, you could just take my room.
Your parents would let me too. They'd be thrilled.
Yeah, they're probably rooting for your mother to kick you out right now. Okay, we have a couple mailbag questions we're going to hit from Maximilian. He says, how do you guys like the FIFA World Cup so far? A fitting first question. I've been really enjoying it. I think it's great. I don't watch every single game astutely, right? I'm kind of like doing things around the house, and I think it's great background noise, and then a goal will happen, and I'll rewind. I really enjoy it, and I can't wait. For I think Thursday night is the U.S. Turkey game, Turkey A. Because the first two I was at weddings for, so I still haven't seen a U.S. game.
You
But
get to
as we
see the
get closer,
irrelevant one.
yeah, I see the irrelevant one. But apparently we've been, and you know what's funny, Ziggy? I really do enjoy watching Team USA in the World Cup, and we missed the one in Qatar. So it's just been a long time since the U.S. has been in these games, and I still haven't been able to watch one of them. So I'm like looking forward to it because it's just been a long time for me personally, and I'm excited for the knockout stages.
Well, Paul, you're going to enjoy watching Team USA this year because they're following the Minnesota Vikings trajectory. Like, this is the most talented Team USA we've had in a long time, and they've looked great, and they're dominating. Not the best teams, but like they've looked better. I think
they've played the part. Yes.
Even a lot of optimistic fans, I think, didn't expect them to look this good. And now the expectations are rising. The Vegas odds are starting to tilt. Like, USA is at plus 3,500 right now. It's going to make getting bouncing around to 32 so brutal.
That would suck. But you look at just how everyone's talking about the team, and I'm sure there's a degree of let's hype this thing up. And the more we talk about, Alexi Lalas is putting them top number 8 in his power rankings I saw today. And the more these graphics come out with, does the U.S. have a chance? I'm sure the Europeans are looking at that, kind of just laughing their asses off. But the Americans are going to believe it. Like, we will believe it. We'll get into it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I'll make that very clear. I have zero problem with generating hype and excitement around events. And if Team USA looks as good as they've looked so far, it's great to me that we're going to hype this thing up and believe that we can actually win. Because you know what? You don't win when you don't believe that you can.
Of course not.
If you get the whole nation here starting to get, really hyped up, and the electricity at the game, all it takes is, once you start a game, all it takes is that one moment where kind of the momentum shifts and the team you're playing goes, like, maybe Belgium, whoever it'll be in the round of 16 or 32. Shit, maybe these guys could actually win. And then you got a game on your hands. So I have no problem at all with belief here. I think it's going to be a really, really fun next couple of weeks.
I just have one question for you, Paul.
Sure.
Is Team USA good? Like, actually good? I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're going to win the World
I've only seen the highlights so far.
No, I don't care, Paul. I'm asking you. Are just off the vibes.
I think they're a good team. From everything I've watched and heard and read, it seems like right now they're playing like, they had the day I moved into Chicago, they played Germany here at Soldier Field, the former home of or soon to be former home of the Chicago Bears, as they may move out of Chicago, which I still am not buying. But I wanted to go to the game, and just another one where, like, I wind up moving in, and I can't go to it. It sounds like they outplayed Germany in that friendly as well. So I think it seems like they're hitting their stride at the right time. And that's all it takes in sports, right? You look at the Knicks, the way they played in the playoffs here. They were the best team in the league. But there are moments in the season where you highly, highly doubted that. And you just get hot at the right moment. Anything could happen here.
Well, I'm not allowed to watch the World Cup with my parents. I tried putting it on a couple days ago, and my dad said, I can't watch the soccer. It's too boring. There's too much downtime. They're just kicking the ball around. Let's go watch Shinnecock Hills. That's like,
we got from,
it's Father's Day, so I have to watch it with them.
Oh, yes, and happy Father's Day, right? We're recording this Monday evening, Monday night. I hope everyone had a great Father's Day. For the dads out there who are listening, reminder to wish your father happy Father's Day if you forgot. My family was concerned. I was driving back from a wedding yesterday, Ziggy, Sunday, for 8 hours of driving. It was 5 hours away in Traverse City, but I wound up doing a little Ubering to airports, and Chicago traffic didn't help. So I was just in the car all day, and I get a text from I have Do Not Disturb on. I get a text from my sister, 6 o'clock at night. She's like, and I just called my dad, and I see that she sent a text that said, hey, you really need to give dad a call. People are starting to talk. at the family event. All my cousins got together. I was like, oh my gosh, come on, give me a break. I've been driving for 8 hours. Don't worry, I remembered. So there's a little concern. Call your dads if you haven't yet. But happy Father's Day.
Well, if you haven't yet, then you really did forget.
Then you really messed up. So
here's the question. I have to ask before we get to the next mailbag question. If you haven't called yet, is it better to call or to not call? Because if you don't call, maybe they'll just look over it and no one will ever say anything. But if you call, you're raising the issue. I know what you would do, Paul.
What do you think I would do?
Oh, you wouldn't call.
No, the answer is you always call. You always call.
You wouldn't call, Paul. You'd say, I can avoid a fight here. We don't have to have any conflict.
No. I wear it. I wear it. If I make a mistake with the birthday, I'll shoot a happy belated birthday. It's always better. It always feels better when you get that call or you get that text. I will 1000% of the time. If I forgot, now let's make it clear. I did not forget. I called. If I had forgotten, I would give a call, apologize, take it on the chest, take it to the chin, and move on. But yeah, if you haven't called, you really should. A couple more questions here. Zoom Teifel, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. Is Paul moving to Chicago the reason the Bears are leaving town? It was pretty funny almost immediately after I moved that those rumors came out. I'd blame it more on the Madden cover, which put the city of Chicago on. And within moments, it seemed the Bears were having rumors of the Hammond move.
You know, while I was on the train, I met someone from Hammond, and I asked them what they thought about the Bears moving there, and they were pissed off. They're like, they were mad. They're like, why did the Chicago Bears want to come here? This city stinks, and the Bears are just going to make it even worse.
The Bears. From Dragon Scale. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the summer. Paul, are you still producing for the same podcast, or did a new job take you to enemy territory? I am still producing for Nick Wright. Same exact job. My life really has not changed much professionally. I am just now in Chicago. And it'll probably be, and my guess is it's for a year. So
is it true that Nick Wright's about to declare bankruptcy?
What?
Well, that's what he said. He said that betting on the bankruptcy level events. I just had to ask, is that true? If so, can you give me the inside track on his house?
The Spain game, what did Nick say? Financially ruinous is how he defined it. Yes, there were some unhappy.
I can't blame him for going minus 1,400 on Spain versus Cape Verde, population like 50,000.
Nick won a lot betting on the Knicks. This is all stuff that Nick has said publicly. Nick, goal for France. Is that Dembele? I'm in a pool where I have Dembele.
Oh, big fan right here.
Would love it. Would love if that were Dembele. I can't tell yet. It was amazing. Great, fantastic. So anyway, Nick bet on the Knicks early in the playoffs to win the finals. Won a ton of money, and as he said, he rolled it over on France. On Spain to beat Cape Verde at minus 14 or minus 15, maybe 1,600. And Nick would have won a lot of money. He would have won a lot of money, which means it's a pretty big bet if Spain had won. And I actually forgot that he did that while I was watching. And the end of that game, if you didn't see it, was just Spain beating the shit out of Cape Verde, and Cape Verde continuously finding ways. Good defense. They're playing good defense, but it's just an all-out assault on the Cape Verde defense for basically 45 straight minutes.
It was 23 shots to 6 by the end.
It was domination. It was, if you play that game the exact same way 100 times, Spain wins 5, 6, 7-0 a handful of times, and Cape Verde just found ways to get out of trouble. And I was actually rooting for Cape Verde, which I did not say in the chat. If I had remembered about the bet, I would have cheered for, could I say friend? I think Nick and I could be considered friendly. We're friendly. I do produce for him. For my friend. I would cheer for my friend, but yeah. But I am still producing for the same shows. Hopefully Nick doesn't hear that I was unintentionally rooting against his bet before I found out. I was like, oh shit, like that. All right, yeah. Not great. Bryce, given Micah Parsons will not be returning until roughly halfway through the year, should we expect the Packers what should we expect from the Packers in the first half of the season? So, we hit a lot of it earlier. We won't go into too much detail. But early on in the year, it is a great opportunity, right, for some of the other guys to step up. I still expect them to be very competitive. I'm not looking at this going, oh, they were 0-5 last year. They're going to go, 2-6 without Micah. Their defense will not be close to prime form, but that offense still is one of the most electric offenses in football. We'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs. But as long as Jordan Love is there and standing upright, what?
I was thinking about Kyler Murray as you're saying this, right? We all know what you're going to say, so I'm just going to cut you off there. You know how irrelevant the Minnesota Vikings are? I searched Kyler Murray, right? Like the quarterback, the guy who's going to start for the Minnesota Vikings. You know what the number one article is?
What?
It's from Reuters. It's this guy in El Reno, Oklahoma. Kyler Murray clears trees. It's just a guy named Kyler Murray in Oklahoma cutting down trees. I thought, oh, maybe it's just like our Kyler Murray doing some like charity work. I know there's been a lot of tornadoes. No, it's just some guy named Kyler Murray cutting down trees. Kyler Murray is not the most famous Kyler Murray from Oklahoma, apparently.
All right. We're not even we're not gonna feed into that. Final question here. But long story short, I think the Packers will still be very competitive,
and the Vikings are going to win Week 1 now.
And the Vikings will win Week 1, obviously. A good goal would probably be. Let's see. I think you're hoping.
Let's assume he's coming back that Detroit game. I think that's the game he's going to be back.
I think you want to be 4. I think 4-2 is a fair goal for the Packers. What do we say? It was the Vikings, Jets, Falcons, and Bucks. Which, again, if you're a Packers fan, what are you thinking, right? Because I think they're probably going to go. I think the Vikings will beat them Week 1. I think at Tampa's a tough game, but let's give them 3-1. Let's say they split the Vikings and Bucks game. 3-1 there. Then you split Chicago and Dallas. I mean, both of those are in Green Bay, so they'll probably be favored in each of them. But let's say they split that too. That's 4-2. I think that's a fair record to shoot for. And then you go to Detroit, a place you've been really good, and you get Micah back, and you see what happens. But
I'll say 4-2. 4-2, I think, is a reasonable expectation, but I think it's necessary. I think if it's 3-3 or worse,
absolutely,
the back half of the season, they have some easy games against like the Dolphins, but they have a lot of tough games there after that Panthers game. I think if they're worse than 4-2, it's going to be real tough to climb out of that hole for the division.
After Detroit, you have Carolina, New England, and Minnesota before their bye week. So, let's say you're 4-2. Maybe you're 6-4 or 7-3 going into the bye. Yeah, you come out of that and you have LA, New Orleans, Buffalo, Miami, Chicago, Houston, Detroit. So 5
There's
of those
6
7
hard
games
there.
Yeah, it depends what you think of
Malik Willis revenge game, Paul.
Malik Willis revenge game. Oh, you count Miami. No, it's a tough schedule. And the good thing for the Packers is you have 4 of your final 5 at home. But yeah, you want Micah back for. I mean, look at the quarterbacks, right? If he comes back for Detroit, you get him back for Goff, you get him back for Drake May, Stafford, Josh Allen, Caleb again, Goff a second time, CJ Stroud. So yeah, and Kyler Murray, of course. So I think the Packers will be fine, but if they drop the Jets or Falcons game and if they're like 1-2 to start the year, all of a sudden the narrative changes. Last question, Eric Wallace. What's the goal for the offseason for subscribers? What's the goal for the season? I'd say just get to 30K by the start of the year. The number we've been chasing down for quite a while. And then the season, I think 50. 50 would probably be the number that I'd like to get to, which may be bullish given that we haven't added 1,000 subscribers for months. But that's my goal.
We'll see.
Oh, fair enough from Ziggy. All right, we'll wrap it up there in a show where we were curious how long it would go for. It's not surprising that we're approaching an hour here. So we'll wrap it up. France up 3-0. I see it right here. Ziggy will probably be give a little smirk. Yeah, there we go. So hope everyone's enjoying the World Cup. Glad to be back. We'll return for Thursday, the cadence should be normal again. Tuesday, Thursday shows, and then as we get closer to the season, we'll start to ramp it up a bit more. This is kind of our downtime still, so as more new, this is a pretty big blank slate here over the next month until training camp starts. But we'll get it going again, and looking forward to having everyone along for the ride. If you've missed us, we've missed you too. It's glad to be back, and we'll see you on Thursday.